Good day, everyone. This is Finally Fuels, and welcome to DDO Players News, where we take a look at the latest news in DDO and on the tabletop. Please welcome my co-host from Ravenloft, Dracula.
To paraphrase what Gandalf said in The Lord of the Rings, I have no recollection of this place.
Oh boy, no recollection whatsoever.
It's been a while.
Yes, I thought you were going to say that the Gray Eagles brought you from the brink of darkness or something.
Well, that too. It's been an interesting couple of weeks since the last episode. We'll
Oh,
just put it that way. There might have been some death involved or close to death, and but anyway, we're back.
we are back. We are back, and it is time to head into the rather sparse news in Dungeon Dragons.
Yeah,
You picked a quiet time to be sick.
I guess so. Yeah, we're in kind of that. They're working on stuff. We
They're work.
don't know about
They're
the stuff per se that they're working on.
oh, they're working. They're working on Minas Morgul.
Yeah, well, see, that could be too. Maybe they're over on Lotro working. They're working on the raid that was just on. But yeah,
Oh yeah, yes, the raid also, of
there's
course.
just not much happening in DDO land right now. It's all right though. We have our chronicle, so it's
Okay.
okay.
Then let's into the Chronicle issue 342, where we have some Buccaneers. It looks like.
Yes, there is some pirates involved there,
Yes. Not
which
very shiny.
not very shiny. So apparently our Sharn covers are gone. Unless this is just to throw us off. But see, my
Ooh.
guess is the only reason why they did this one is the summer sales are still going on, so that ship has sails, so they tied it together with the summer sales. I don't know. It's a stretch, but it works.
A bit.
In our chronicle, not a lot in the chronicle either. Don't forget, it is your last chance if you wish to participate in the third annual DDO fashion competition that is hosted by Al Alanaway on the DDO forums. Click over and get your screenshots in by Friday, July 19th. So if you're listening to this live, you better do it now. Because if you're listening to it when it releases, you better hurry up because we're going to release on Friday the 19th. So unless you're a time traveler and can go back in time and see, we've talked about this whole timey-wimey thing before. And I don't think anybody's quite perfected it yet. So my best bet is if you're live, which currently we have nobody listening live. So you, the loyal listener that is listening to the podcast version, you are out of luck. It is now over. But go look at the cool screenshots. There are some really amazing outfits.
Hmm.
If they had one the most ugliest and why did you even submit this outfit, I probably would win that. That would be my category to win. But some of these outfits are pretty. I was perusing through this thread the other night. I was like, wow, there is some people that A, know how to put an outfit together, and B, know how to take a good screenshot. And I know neither of those.
Aha. All right.
We will jump right in then to our fan site news section where DDO Cast had an episode 565. That was the Gen Con 2019 primer with Little O Me. That was a spur of the moment thing. The show Patrick had planned, the guest had issues at the last minute, couldn't make it. So last minute, he decided, hey, let's see if Drac's available, and we'll do a Gen Con show. So that's what we did.
A
So,
Gen Con.
so listen to that to hear a quick primer on Gen Con 2019. And
Uh,
spoiler alert, you might hear some of what I talked about there later on in the show here.
mhm.
Ooh, we'll see.
It sounds like you've heard of Gen Con.
Just a little bit, maybe.
A little bit.
I might be fairly familiar with it, but yeah, you never know. Sip over on the Bio Break blog, say that a couple times fast, is shopping at the night market. So read Sip's latest post. Brighter days ahead has the second half of summer. Doug Glendower, of course, bringing us a bard life, and you can check out D&D Kasplat 1.10 on D&D Night on DDO stream. That is Patrick's game where he is the DM, and it's got Tay and Rent and Mythery and myself and Lessa, and hijinks are ensuing. That's all I'll say about that.
Hijinks in one of your games?
Yeah, exactly. And especially when the damsels are involved. No, never. Week 131 of rating from Mickey's Delirium. And the DDO PL folks are continuing their Warforged adventures. And Noob Carabra, that is an awesome name, is journaling about his quest to become a triple completionist. So click over.
Now, what is a triple complete? You've done the entire completionist thing 3 times?
Yes? Question mark. I think so. I never can keep track of what it's. There's like some things you get credit for and some things you don't. But yes, I think it's you've done 3. You've done everything 3 times. I think.
Is that 3 different character? There's 3 different names of characters, or the same character doing it 3 times?
I think it's the same character.
Okay.
Going through the loop 3 times. I think I'll be corrected. I'm sure. Send emails or leave a comment down below and tell me how stupid I am for not knowing this. But yeah, that's that whole completionist thing. There's like all these rules, and you do one thing to get one completionist, and then another thing to do something else. And I don't know. I don't have enough time and energy to even pretend I can even think about doing that. So, I mean, it would be cool to do, but alas, not for I. And we have our canonical comment, which I have not even read this week, so I'm reading this blindly.
Ooh.
So I'm going to have to come up with an answer off the cuff here. Our canonical comment this week. If you could turn into a gelatinous cube for a day, would you, and why or why not?
Well, since I don't think I'll be able to fit anywhere in my house if I were a gelatinous cube, I don't think I would want to.
Well, you see, you wouldn't have a house left if you were a gelatinous cube because you would just absorb it.
Well, then that makes it even worse.
So there's that.
Hey, it's called pine leaf logic.
Right, exactly. What am I thinking? Trying to diss the pine leaf logic. I think I would want to be a cube. That would be cool. Just go around and absorbing everything, and
well, especially absorbing blood.
See, there you go. See, tie it all in. I like it. Yes, I would be a gelatinous cube for a day. Why the heck not? That's what I say.
Because some adventurer will come in and try to.
That's right.
Rip you to pieces.
Silly adventurers.
Yeah,
and let's
jump. All the fun.
Exactly. Let's jump right in to the screenshot of the week, and we'll round out our chronicle this week. That is sisters Leah and Malia take on the wonders of Sharn in the 424th DDO screenshot of the week. That's a pretty sweet little screenshot.
Yep. Now the question is, are sisters playing? Are they sisters in game, or are they sisters in?
I assume in game, because they have kind of the Leah and Malia thing going on. So I'm assuming it's in game, but I don't know. Maybe it's both.
I guess they're not mutually exclusive. You got a point there. There you go. And then let's head out and find out what is on sale.
We have the Get a Boost sale this week through July 25th. 25% off Sovereign XP Elixirs, Treasure Hunters Elixirs, Greater Slayer Boost, and the long-lasting Supreme Ability Potions, all at 25% off. And, of course, the summer sales are continuing. You can get 35% off a plus 20 Heart of Wood, plus 50 off plus 3 Tomes of Fate, 50% off the Veteran Status 2, and 75% off the Artificer. So if you don't have the Artificer class, 75% is a pretty darn good deal to get that on. That too ends July 25th. And of course, weekly coupon code will get you a haste potion. 10 of those potions when you use the coupon code HASTEY, HASTEY. And that miraculously is through July 25th as well. That's amazing how that works out.
Amazing. Then let's go and head into the site news, where we'll begin with finding out how things are going with the GoFundMe.
That's right. This is the last time, I promise, you'll ever have to hear about this. Unless we do another one next year. But I don't know. We'll see. But yes.
You're hoping things will be well enough that we won't have to.
That's right. Hopefully we won't have to, but hold that thought. Might do this again next year. But let's talk about this year. Yeah, we are fastly approaching Gen Con, so if you have been saying, oh, I'll donate just before Drac leaves for Gen Con or whatever, your clock is ticking. We're still at $125 of $600, which is cool. Like, as I said a couple weeks ago, that almost pays for my parking, so that's cool. That's really all I was mainly worried about. I mean, you know, there's some other stuff I'm worried about, but parking was like the big expense that I really had not budgeted for, because usually I don't have to pay for parking, but this year weird things are happening and I'm going to have to drive as well. So that's neither here nor there. So if you would like to donate to help spur on our Gen Con coverage, which is fastly approaching as well, you can do so. Just click over in the link, and that'll take you to our GoFundMe page, and I do appreciate it. All of the money raised for this is going to go for Gen Con coverage and expenses. So that's going to be parking, that's going to be food, any other little small occurrences that I have not thought about to budget for. With this money will greatly help in doing so, because as we said before, this is kind of all on us to do this. We pay for all this stuff out of pocket. I love doing it, but it's expensive, yo.
Yeah, it can get a little pricey. Then let's go into looting Gen Con, because I heard that you wish to talk about it today.
Yeah, I figured let's just talk about Gen Con a little bit. We've, kind of talk about, Gen Con's coming up. And then we talk about, we're going to cover Gen Con, and I've got a bunch of interviews scheduled at Gen Con. But there might be a couple people out there that are just like, I've heard you talk about this Gen Con, and, last year I heard you talking about Gen Con, and maybe you watched our interview videos. But some of you just might be thinking, what the heck is this Gen Con thing anyway? So I thought we would just jump briefly into what exactly is Gen Con. If you have no idea what Gen Con is, I think the easiest way to describe it, it's the biggest and largest tabletop gaming convention in North America. It runs for 4 days. It's basically gaming. For 4 straight days, you can go and game any type of gaming you can think of. If it's a game, you're going to find it at Gen Con. It's going to be there for 4 days, as well as 62 of your closest geek friends. There are 62,000, I should say, are going to be with you playing those games. Quick explanation of what Gen Con is. It was actually started by Gary Gygax, whom I assume a few of us that listen to this podcast have heard the name Gary Gygax.
It sounds vaguely familiar.
I think he had something to do with some little game, Dungeons and something, maybe. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
It never really took off, but it's it's fine.
Oh, okay. I thought it was some guy named Arneson or something.
Yeah, of course. We kid, of course. Yeah, Gary Gygax, who, of course, co-created Dungeons & Dragons with, as Piney said, Dave Arneson, did actually create Gen Con. It originally started out as a wargaming convention
Right.
because,
At Lake Geneva.
yeah, because Gary was really big into wargaming. That's how he got his start. So he decided to do a play off of the Geneva Convention. So he called his convention Gen Con. And believe it or
After
not,
all this time, I guess I just assumed they called it because it was founded in Lake Geneva. I never thought, of course, of the Geneva Convention.
oh yeah, no, I can't believe that you never did it. Yes, yeah, it was a tongue-in-cheek play on the Geneva Convention, so that's why it was Gen Con. But it did kind of work that it was in Lake Geneva as well too. So
yeah,
so I mean,
that's probably what inspired the idea.
yeah. But the awesome thing is, I wish I could have been around for Gen Con 1, which happened in, Gen Con 0, I should say. Happened in August 1967. It was at Gary Gygax's house. How awesome is that? 12 people attended Gen Con 0 at Gary's house. That is amazing. He was just like, hey, come hang out at my house, play some games. We're having a convention. I would have been like, sure. Why not?
Okay.
See, that's where we need the time machine for. Because I would like to go back to 1967, and I would like to be able to attend. I want to be the 13th person that attended Gen Con 0 at Gary Gygax's house in Lake Geneva. And then the following year took place August 24th of 68. That happened at the Horticultural Hall in Lake Geneva, where it stayed for the next couple years, and then it kind of bounced around Lake Geneva after that, and then it finally moved to the University of Wisconsin in 1978. 2,000 people attended that one, so we started getting more people attending. And then in 1985 it was moved to Mecca, which I always find funny that, yes, you could have actually went to a pilgrimage to Mecca. That's the Milwaukee Exposition and Convention Center and Arena in Milwaukee. It was held there for several years, till 2002, actually. And then in 2003, it moved to Indianapolis in July of 2003. They moved the convention to Indianapolis, where it has been ever since. And just as I said, the Gen Con 0 had 12 people attending. And last year's Gen Con, the official attendance was 61,425. So you can see we've added a few more people over the years. And then they did throughout the various times, they have tried to do like Gen Con West. There was a Gen Con South and a Gen Con East. Then they had a European Gen Con and a Gen Con Barcelona and a Gen Con UK. None of those are even a thing anymore, though. They tried them some of them only lasted a year. Some of them lasted a couple years. Just the big thing now is in Indy every year, which they have a agreement with Indy until 2020. So we will, or I'm sorry, 2023.
Oh yeah, I thought 2020 would have been a little.
Yeah, 2023. So we'll see if they would. I'm pretty sure they're going to renew up because, as we've talked about before, Indianapolis is going to do everything they can do to keep Gen Con. Which, yeah, it's, as I said, Gen Con is just 4 days of gaming. There's card games there, role-playing games there, tabletop games, LARPing, war games, miniature games. There's actual video games there. You name it. If it's game related, almost guarantee you're going to find somebody somewhere at Gen Con playing it, talking about it, or selling it.
That's quite a bit then going on there. Now, I guess next the question is, what is going to be released or demoed at Gen Con?
Our friends over at Board Game Geek has so kindly put together a list so you can go through and see everything that is going to be at Gen Con. But yeah, you can go check that out. I'll put a link in the show articles. But Gen Con is right behind Essen for where most of the games are released and are demoed. Essen's Spiel in Germany is like the big convention where a lot of stuff is released. But Gen Con is slowly creeping up on Essen's claim of the board game release convention, because a lot of people save their stuff for Gen Con. As of this year, a lot of people save their stuff for Gen Con. As I said, you can go through and check that list out. There is a ton of stuff and some interesting stuff and some stuff that I'm thinking, okay. But it's fun just to go through and check the list out. And if you're actually attending Gen Con, this is great because they give you the booth number. So you can just write it down. It's like, oh, I got to stop by booth number 37 because I want to check out this game, or booth number 900 because I want to check out this game, or whatever. So you can kind of help plan your trip around the hall as well with the Board Game Geek list.
All right. And then what are the top 5 things that you are looking forward to in Gen Con this year?
Went through this list, and these are not necessarily the best games that are coming out, but these are the ones that caught my eye and the ones that I'm definitely looking forward to actually either demoing and are doing interviews with the board game company about them, or maybe even bringing one home. We'll see. Without further ado, number 5 is a game called Space Explorers. It's by a new company called Crowd Games. This is about the Russian space organization. So you are basically putting together a team of astronauts and your spaceships, and you're trying to beat the United States into getting into space first. It's
getting into space first?
Yes.
So that's the race they won then.
Well, yes, they did. See, spoiler alert, Pine Leaf. Jeez. God, don't even have to play the game now, man. Jeez.
Sorry.
No, but yeah, this looks like a pretty interesting game, actually. I to tell you the truth, I do not know much about this, other than just it's about the space race, and it's made by a Russian company, so so you're that's why it's like all you're playing the cosmonauts and the Russians, but it looks really good. I like the art style on it too, just by looking at it. So something definitely I want to check out. As I said, I don't really know anything about it, to be honest. I just kind of ran onto it, and I saw a video. I saw, maybe it was Game Boy Geek, maybe was doing an overview of it. I think that was that video I watched. I watched a video on it, and I'm like, that looks pretty interesting. I'm going to check that out. And we'll go to my number 4 is a game from Chex Games Edition. It is called Sanctum. This is, they say Sanctum was once a great city and now is the last beacon of light in a world shrouded in darkness. This is a epic adventure competitive game for 2 to 4 players. It's inspired by the hack and slash genre, but it's converted into a modern board game. I know a lot of people are calling this kind of Diablo meets a board game.
Diablo meets a board game.
This looks pretty cool as well. I watched a couple preview videos of this as well that people have done, and can't wait to see this. I did a quick chat with them at Origins. I didn't, tape anything or anything. It was just, I just kind of walked by and I seen it, and I kind of talked to them. But I'm actually going to talk to them at Gen Con more about this. But it's called Sanctum from Chex Games Edition. My number 3 game I'm looking forward to at Gen Con is a game called Wreck Raiders. This is from Kids Table Board Game. This, you are doing exactly what you think you're going to do by the name. You are diving down into wrecks to get gold and treasure. You're trying to recover all sorts of treasures off the seafloor from pirate shipwrecks. This is a dice rolling game, kind of a set collection, worker placement, dice rolling. Also has a little bit of pressure luck in it as well. So this is really good. I know Kids Table Board Game, I have played Haunt the House from them, and that was a really good game. So I know they can design good games, and this looks pretty good. So I'm just looking forward to checking this one out as well. And then let's do my number 2 adventure games. The Dungeon. This is from Cosmos. This is going to be one of the set of adventure games Cosmos has coming out. These are kind of a series of co-op games they're coming out with. It's not really like their escape room series. It kind of is. This is more like a role-playing game. There's going to be a story that you're going to have to solve, and you're going to build your character as you're playing. It's made by the people that created that Exit series of games. So this is going to focus more on discovery of the story with no time pressure. So how, in Exit, you have a certain amount of time, you have to solve the puzzle and win. This, you're going to craft the story. The story is going to play out as you play the game. These are going to be available for demo at Gen Con. These are not going to be available to purchase yet, but I do have an interview scheduled with them, and I am going to get to sit down and actually demo the first adventure game, which is The Dungeon. And that's from Cosmos, so really looking forward to that one. And my number 1 game I'm looking forward to at Gen Con 2019 should come as no surprise to anybody listening to the sound of my voice right now. That is Horrified, the board game from Ravensburger. We talked about this. It's been a while since we talked about this. But this is going to include Frankenstein, the Bride of Frankenstein, the Wolfman, Dracula, the Mummy, the Invisible Man, and the Creature from the Black Lagoon. You are going to have to work together with your other players to take down said monsters as they are trying to destroy the town. And you're going to have to work together to stop them from doing that. They're going to have miniatures of all those. I've got a sneak peek of the miniatures. They look amazing. The Dracula looks awesome. So can't wait to check this out. Actually going to get to play this, I think, Saturday morning. I'm going to actually sit down and get to play this one. So excited about that. So that's my number 1 game I'm looking forward to at Gen Con 2019, Horrified. And that is from Ravensburger. So I know Pineleaf's not going to Gen Con, but I know he has some picks for games at Gen Con, though.
Yeah, now I did not see this list until just before the show. So
Okay.
I didn't exactly have a thorough time which to study it and choose my 5 in here. So I am going to, now I'm going to hold off on number 5 because we'll be discussing that in a moment.
Okay.
Actually, you might as well discuss that now since
Sure.
it'll be naturally here.
We can.
Because we do have an article on this one, and that is Harry Potter Death Eaters Rising.
Yeah, and that's from the OP.
That is from the... Now, who exactly are the OP?
It's a long, long story. How long do you have to describe who the OP is?
Okay, then it's not the Order of the Phoenix, then?
It is not the Order of the Phoenix.
Okay, it was appropriate considering the game.
USAopoly kind of, sort of changed their name to the OP. It's weird, though, because they refer themselves as the OP, but yet in a couple press releases I've gotten since then, they still refer to themselves as USAopoly, but all their branding is the OP.
Right,
so,
their website is now the OP Games. Right.
Yeah, so I'm like, so that's one thing I'm going to ask them about at Gen Con. It's like, okay, number 1, is it the OP or is it the OP? How do you say it, number 1? And number 2, what the heck were you thinking? But anyway, yes. So USAopoly / the OP, the OP, whatever you want to call them, is going to release Harry Potter the Death Eater, or I'm sorry, Harry Potter Death Eaters Rising. And this is, if you remember the Thanos Rising game they had come out last year, where they had the giant Thanos that's set in the middle of the board, and you were trying to collect the Infinity Stones before Thanos did. And then this is that game reskinned with Harry Potter.
That means you could see some playthroughs of it probably on the web or something like that might give you an idea of
So look, if you look for Thanos Rising, This, I think they tweaked a few gameplay things, they said, but it
Probably.
pretty much plays like that. But of course, this one, instead of having a Thanos statue in the middle of the board, this is going to have a Voldemort statue in the middle of the board.
Apropos, considering the theme.
Uh-huh. And this is a competitive or cooperative, card and dice game. Players are going to assemble teams of witches and wizards, and you're going to fight Voldemort and his Death Eaters.
Now, it looks like this has a smaller footprint than Hogwarts Battle does.
It does, yes. This is a pretty smaller footprint, even though the biggest thing it's going to take up the footprint is just going to be the Voldemort in the middle, because it's a pretty good size.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
if it's as big as that Thanos was, it's going to be a pretty big size. But yeah, this is from 2 to 4 players. I'm sure since it's a co-op, you could play it solo, though. I know
Probably.
Thanos people have played solo, so you can do a very full variant of it. Ages are 11 and up, 45 to 60 minutes. MSRP is going to be $50. In the fall is when this is coming out.
In the fall. All right. Unless you are lucky enough to pick one up at Gen Con.
Right, and I know they're going to have a demo there. I don't.
Oh,
they
at the very least,
might-
could be a case that they're just demoing it.
Yeah, they might. Though a lot of the time, especially with again, USAopoly/COP, they tend to, some of the stuff they do actually have a few copies available. Because I know last year the Thanos game actually technically wasn't out at Gen Con, but they did have a couple copies. It sold out pretty quick. And
I could imagine.
I think their Snow White game they had to was the same way. It wasn't officially out, but they did have managed to get a few copies in for Gen Con. But
At least now, this all answered one question I had. Is like, wait a minute, how did how these people, the OP, get the license to do this? It's because they already have the license.
They already own it. That's right. Yeah.
Then the second one that caught my attention is Castle Panic Big Box. I know it's the word big and piney usually don't go together.
Exactly. I was surprised to see this on your list. I'm like, okay. And
so
that's from Fireside Games.
From Fireside Games. Then we go to the opposite end for number 3, and that is actually this one. I think is going to be a slight cheat on it for Imperial Settlers Roll and Write. And the reason why I say that is because my copy arrived today. Because apparently it's already on sale at Amazon.
Really? I did not know that.
Yep. I think this is one of those games that they said was going to be available for Gen Con and Gen Cant.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
So Pine Leaf will be Gen Canting with Imperial Settlers Roll and Write.
Yeah, when I first saw the playthrough by when Watch It Played, I wasn't too interested in it, but when Rado's playthrough of it managed to get me interested in it. So, and
Rado does such a good job at stuff.
Yeah.
He really does.
Yeah, sometimes I like Rodney's better, sometimes I like Rado's better, stuff like that. In Rado, of course, you certainly know what he's thinking of.
Yeah, you do. That's very true.
That is quite true. Now, number 2 is going to be the ultimate. How am I going to fit this on the table game?
Another one. I was like, what?
Now, I do know that they made their setup so that there are 2 ways you could set it up. One is nice and broad, and they also have a limited table space setup in which you could do things. I guess which one setup I'm going to do. So, yeah, but Edge of Darkness is, of course, the second card crafting game, and that one I'm definitely getting because I kickstarted it, and it's going to be. I heard that the people up in the Midwest are already getting their copies.
Oh, wow. Well, then you might get yours pretty soon then. Right. Yeah, that's by AEG, right?
Right, AEG,
I think.
Of course,
okay,
because they did Mystic Vale.
Yeah.
And then number 1, I don't think should be a real surprise to anyone that's listening who has any familiarity with the Gen Con list, and that is Aeon's End New Age.
I'm not shocked. I don't think any of our listeners are shocked either.
None of our listeners are shocked. So those are my 5 picks for what's coming out at Gen Con this year. Though I will not actually be picking any of these up at Gen Con since I won't be there. But as I said, the last two, I mean, number 4 and 5, the Harry Potter thing, Castle Panic, I'll probably, I guess, ordering whenever I hear that they're available. Number 3, as I said, I had that arrive in the mail today. So, and number 2 and 1, if I'm lucky, they'll arrive before Gen Con. We'll see. But that's it for what we wish to anticipate. So if anyone here has anything that they are anticipating from the upcoming releases at Gen Con, you could post them in the comments.
Certainly.
And see what we completely missed, right?
Exactly. There's so much stuff. I'm sure there's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I'm gonna see stuff and I'm like, oh, I should have put that on my list. Oh, I should have put that on my list. These lists are hard to do, especially when you only have 5. It's like, oh man, it's tough.
So let's see well. There is nothing on the screen, and we already covered what's on the tabletop.
Yep.
That means then let's head into our week in gaming.
Crickets, tumbleweeds, crickets.
Absolutely nothing.
Yeah, I didn't know. I played the game of I Tried Not to Die. That was the game that I played.
the game of I Try Not to Die.
Yeah, it was fun. I guess to clue the listeners in here, I got sick. Like really, like super sick. My temperature was bouncing between like 99.9 all the way up to 104. It was doing that for like 6 days. There was no apparent known cause for it. But I wasn't, the weird thing was I wasn't quote unquote sick though. I didn't feel bad. I was like wore out because I wasn't sleeping, but I wasn't coughing. I wasn't sneezing. I didn't have a sore throat. I didn't have any of the other stuff that usually goes along with sickness. Use your imagination for what I'm talking about. I wasn't quote unquote sick, but I had this fever. I got all sorts of tests done. I got blood tests done. I got x-rays done. I got all sorts of stuff done. No apparent cause for this weird fever that I had. So whatever it was, it took 6 days to go away, but it's just weird. So yeah, I didn't really do much. I did do a couple things, but unfortunately the stuff I did, I cannot yet talk about.
Oh, I thought you were going to say that you can't remember because of the fever.
Yeah, no, I remember it. I just can't talk about it yet.
You can't talk about it.
Unfortunately not.
Is any of this stuff going to be found out for Gen Con? Or is this stuff that's way in the future?
No, it's not that. I think one of them might be Gen Con and one might be right after.
Okay.
I'd have to look to see.
That could be our little teaser then.
Yeah, I gotta say, look soon. Soon you'll know a couple things that I was up to, and the one thing I'm not sure when the embargo lifts on it, so I'm not gonna say anything at all. But anyway, yeah. So Pineleaf, how about you? I see you did a ton of stuff.
All right. Now we are going to begin with DDO, since just before our last episode, Drac and I managed to do about as much of the cogs as we felt like doing. So we thought that before the next time we'll both get to 16. I don't know if you managed to get to 16, because I did notice you did log into DDO at least once. Was that something else, or was that to get to 16?
I did not get to 16, so you're going to be 16. I'm not going to be 16, but it's fine. I'll play under level. I don't care. It's fine. I don't mind it.
Okay, maybe you should log into.
I mean, I might try before. Yeah, like I said, I might try before Monday to get to 16, but I don't think I'm gonna get there, and it's fine. I'll be 16 soon enough.
Okie dokie.
Because apparently somebody else got to 16 like they were supposed to.
Yeah, I managed to get to 16 on my Osmer Scourge, and so therefore this is running Sans Drac. And first I decided to run Grim and Barrett.
Solid choice.
Right. So I decided to see, all right, what can I find in the area of the harbor or something like that. And so I ran to Grim and Barrett. I said, okay, this is a nice one. Then I was really, really close to getting to 16, and I pulled out the tried and true, and that is of course Tower of Frost.
What? I am shocked.
Yeah.
Shocked, I say. I
Uh,
cannot believe this is happening right now.
that I ran Tower of Frost. Yes, I think I've run Tower of Frost almost as much as you've run. No, no, you've got to. You must have run Grim and Bear much more than I've run Tower of Frost. Okay.
Ugh, I did run that a long time to get that stupid quiver. So.
Yeah. And then on my level 16 artificer, I ran the part 2 of Sharn stuff, House of Pain, Blown Deadline, and Reach for the Sky. And I suppose we will have a chance to review those after Drac and I finally have a chance to actually run those together. Since I'm sure Drac doesn't want any spoilers or anything like that on this.
Hopefully this Monday, that's what we'll be doing.
Hopefully this Monday that's what we'll be doing.
That's the plan.
All right, good. And after I did that, I decided I was wondering what would I do after that? I decided to end my Dragonborn YouTube series relating to that. I call that the end of that. I thought it would be anticlimactic to go into the cogs after doing Reach for the Sky because that just felt like a good place to end. I did try taking a step into the cogs off camera in there, and I just said, no, I'm not going to go all the way through here to look for these. A lot of trouble trying to get into. I think I went in the wrong direction in order to reach any of the dungeons in there. I should have gone in a different direction. Which I got there. I said, okay, forget it. I'm done. And I went back to the harbor. And when I got to the harbor, I decided to run Lost at Sea. And of course, I had forgotten Lost at Sea. And what's more important, of course, is how it ties into Sharn. Since this is where you help the the employee that Vaunt eventually betrays, and
I completely forgot about that quest.
yeah, lost at sea. So he, so I went in, did that one in order, and in fact, it was for, as I said, for that employee of Vaunt that we help later on, and we're trying to fix things for Vaunt here. Trying to recover some treasure that Vaunt lost and all. So yeah, I had completely forgot about that quest too, but I saw that she was giving it. And I was like, wait a minute, didn't you die or something? Or whatever happened to her in what was that, Just Business. So that's where I did there, and that's how far I got with the Dragonborn. And then in Minecraft, I ran a few weeks of Mage Rage since the last episode, still trying to find objects and reasonably successful in finding them. I will say there was one where I found things very quickly, and of course the others takes a little bit more time usually in order to find anything. Because there's usually one thing that you have trouble finding. And then I also started in my main world where I had the village. I decided all on an island off the coast of the village. I decided to try building a water temple, and what I'm doing is I'm going to be building an elliptical dome on the top and on the and I'm going to have some parts, and on the part that's underwater, I am going to have this window that's giving a nice view under the water area. So one of the things I'm planning for this thing, though, is to build it out of prismarine. So which means that maybe next week I'm either going to be here saying that I have managed to raid an ocean monument, or at least got some stuff from ocean monument, or I'm going to be saying that I'm never going to be going into an ocean monument again. I'm not too sure which is going to be the case, but I suspect one of those is happening is that before the next episode, I may have at least attempted to go into an ocean monument. We'll see how well that goes. On tabletop, I played some Aeon's End War Eternal, where I was playing Quilius against Umbra Titan, and I think I did reasonably well in that game. Then I decided to pull out Harry Potter Hogwarts Battle since I'm getting pretty far behind on running Hogwarts Battle because that was one of the games that I wanted to be able to get 12 plays through before the end of the year. So I ran boxes 2 and 3 of Hogwarts Battle, and box 2 sort of out of the gate punched me in the nose. How familiar are you with Hogwarts Battle?
I've seen it played a couple times. Never actually played it myself, but
Right. All right. Then just imagine that. So you know about these dark arts cards that you do at the beginning of each turn, that are the
yes.
bad things that happen.
Yep. Yep.
So at the start of the game, I happen to have a villain out that makes you draw extra dark arts cards. So I'm starting the game drawing 2 of them, and I'm constantly drawing the worst dark arts cards you could possibly draw. And within a couple of turns, I've gone through, I think it's by the end of turn 3 for both of them, I've already gone through the first 2 locations. And now I'm drawing 4 dark arts cards on each turn. I was just I was constantly being stunned, constantly being brutalized, and it was just a mercy when I finally got killed on that one on all that.
Oh, I'm sure that
Yeah,
sounds
that
just
was brutal.
nasty.
Uh, Box 3 was a little bit tamer, where I managed to go, though of course it was just lulling me in, lulling me in, lulling me in, and was pinging me with attrition. So I did eventually fall back, wind up getting to the third location. When third location came in, then it was like punch me in the face. so, yeah, I didn't do too well in either of those two. Then in tabletops apps, in Sentinels of the Universe of the Multiverse, they have in Sentinels of the Multiverse the game this weekly thing called the One Shot, which is essentially they have a title of it as if it were a comic being released for that week, and they give the issue number and stuff like this. So they make it look like as if we're a comic cover and all that stuff. And lately, most of them have been high level ones, which were very good advanced versions, ultimate versions, stuff like that, all nice and designed for those players who've been playing it a long time and are experts and stuff like that. But a couple weeks ago, they had one called Battle of the Beards, and this was Blade Baron, and he was against, all right, 5 other heroes in there, of course. So this is Baron Blade, and going to the now 4 of those heroes I had never played before. I had played Rob before, but I'd only played Vanilla Raw, and this was a variant form of Raw. So I have all these heroes where I weren't, but since it was against Baron Blade, I managed to squeak out a win anyway. So this is probably the only time I'm ever going to get a mint, because what happens is if you complete one of those one shots, is then they award you the cover and give you a rating. Mint means you completed it on your first attempt. Near
Oh,
mint
okay.
near mint means that as you complete it on your first attempt without using any undos. That's what the rule for that. Near mint is you complete it on one of your first 2 attempts. So either in attempt 2 or on attempt 1 with undos. Then they have, let's see, very good or something like that. I forgot what the third level is, but that is you complete it during the week in which that is the issue. So no matter how many attempts you do it, if you do it. And then the last one is good, and good means you've completed it after the week in which it's the active one. So so essentially there are scenarios and setups is what they are, but of course, this being a comic related game, they do them as if they were issues of a comic magazine. And then I also played some on the Aeon's End app that's currently in early access, where I played Lash versus Rageborn, and I won that one with 1 hit point remaining. So that for some Patreon. If you'd like to help support DDO players, simply go to the donations page where you can support the Players Alliance on Patreon. There you'll find rewards, including a mention on the podcast your choice, or you may guest with us for an episode of DDO Players News. We did not receive any emails, but if you'd like to send us one, you can send it to podcast at ddoplayers.com. You could also follow us on Twitter at the Players Alliance at Players Ally, DDO Players at DDO Players, Dracula at Ponny Needles, and you can follow Drac on Twitch at Dracula_72, assuming he is alive and well.
Here's hoping.
Yes. The Players Alliance has two shows on Thursdays at 7 p.m. US Eastern Time. We have DDO Players News, and on Saturdays at 8:30 p.m. US Eastern Time, we have Loto Players News. You can join us for our shows at ddoplayers.com/live. And that's all for tonight. And this is Planet Needles reminding you to quest responsibly.